And specifically collegiate sports, it's been like that. Like it started out as an intramural type of thing. So regulation wise, why did anybody? There was not money involved, right? It was just something to do. Then scholarships obviously started to get introduced, and the game progressed to this like side thing to 100, 50 years later, whatever the case may be, to the number one revenue generating source for the schools.
I've read
but nothing else changed.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hustle Up podcast. My name is Clint.
And I'm Jonathan.
And today we have the extreme joy of sitting down with a close friend of ours, Martin Jenkins. We call him Yoda.
Yoda
done did it, guys. Yoda cracked the NCAA, changing the way that college athletes can get paid for what they do forever. This is a big deal. Now, that's not all you do. You do a lot of other stuff.
Correct.
Yoda is one of the coolest human beings I know.
Absolutely.
Effortlessly cool.
Yeah,
He's the
definitely.
guy.
For anyone who doesn't know what Clint's talking about, this is what made the headlines, Wednesday through Friday of last week.
Yeah,
you were on CBS, CNN. Every major news network had you appear on it. But we don't want to take away your streak, so run with it. What's up? What the hell happened?
Man,
you broke the NCAA.
Appreciate you having me
man,
on.
thank you for
Y'all
coming,
my boys.
man.
We all go way
back, bro.
I know I told y'all a little bit of the story just years ago because this has been an 8-year litigation now.
Wow.
So it's been a fight. Before we hop into it, I get asked a lot of different questions about this, especially since everything is the rules have changed and everything like that.
A major way.
In a huge way. It changed the landscape of college sports and what kids can do now, right? And that, I always like to lead by saying, I went to Clemson, the school.
Shout out Clemson.
Shout out to my school. Best school ever. Greatest experience literally ever. So it had nothing to do, the litigation had nothing to do with, them personally, the coaches. We all have super, super good relationships. A lot of the old players still do. But it's just the way things have been run, right? 100 years, the NCAA has been operating the same exact way, so it was time for some change, man.
What does that mean? What is it's been from your perspective and the point of view of your overturning of this? Was it a Supreme Court thing?
It was a Supreme Court.
So
decision,
it went to the Supreme Court and they overturned the rule. And when you saying they've been doing it forever, we define that. What have they been doing forever?
Yeah, correct. So when college sports first got introduced, and we don't have to go into super history, right? But before it was more of like intramural sports. Right, football back in the day, basketball back in the day was not what it was today.
Is that the 80s, 70s?
Even before that.
Yeah,
okay.
50s.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning,
the beginning of time. Leather football helmets.
Football helmets, yeah. Probably something even before that. I don't know. But, man, specifically collegiate sports, it's been like that. Like it started out as an intramural type of thing. So regulation-wise, why did anybody? There was not money involved, right? It was just something to do. Then scholarships obviously started to get introduced, and the game progressed to this like side thing to 100, 50 years later, whatever the case may be, to the number one revenue generating source for the schools.
I've read
but nothing
many
else
times
changed.
that the highest paid government official in any state is the head coach of the massive football team.
Exactly.
Yeah, coaches get paid more than presidents of schools.
Right?
It's insane, which I'm not mad at all.
No.
The teams are generating hundreds of
from a
millions
business
of dollars.
perspective. When it's just business logic and common sense. When something works, you double down on it.
Exactly,
and that's all that is.
That's all it is. And so the NCAA, they had rules and regulations, which we'll get into in a little bit, but that prohibited the schools. So even if the schools wanted to pay the athletes, they couldn't. Even if the athletes wanted to not even have anything to do with the schools as far as like generating money, whether it was starting a YouTube show, starting a podcast, posting on YouTube, making a TV, a clothing line, whatever the case may be, they couldn't do it.
Even if it was not being charged, like even if it was a hobby and not 100%. Something being monetized.
It could be something completely unrelated to the sport, completely unrelated to the school, and they could not do it.
So when you become a college athlete, you are not allowed to profit off of your name, image, or likeness.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so that was the big issue. And that was the issue I was personally running into in college. And we all, you're an entrepreneur, born that way since I've known you for sure. I know you're bred the same way, born the same way. And I am too. So to kind of rip that from under you just because I'm attached to a school or a sport or whatever the case may be, that was the issue with that.
Yeah, that's not the way.
Yeah.
Not at all, man. That's not the way.
And so what kicked it off? Like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back that made you one of the It was a class action.
It was a class action.
And so
yeah.
you played 4 years at Clemson, right?
Started cornerback.
Started cornerback at 5, and then
Yeah.
you went to play for the New York Jets.
Correct. Yeah, I went training camp with them. Yeah.
What years did you play at Clemson?
From 2010 to 14.
Who was on your team?
Sammy Watkins,
Okay.
Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson was my senior year. He was a freshman.
Okay.
Montavious Bryant, DeAndre Hopkins.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot
So
of some
stacked
guys.
team, yeah.
Some guys doing practice was interesting.
Yeah.
And so were all the people in the class action teammates of yours?
No, not at all. Not at
Okay.
all. I just represented pretty much the Power 5 conferences in football and basketball.
Oh, wow.
So it was a class action.
So you were the
but
face
it
of
was-
the Power
I was-
5.
Exactly. I was the face of it essentially.
Wow.
Representing everybody.
And how did you end up in that? Like, how did Yoda Jenkins, Martin Jenkins? We're gonna run with Yoda from here on. How did
Let's
Yoda
do it,
end
man.
up? How
Let's
did
do it.
Yoda end up one of a few people to represent a conference in this lawsuit?
Why did you have to in the first place?
For
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, yeah.
For sure. So I can tell y'all how I even got involved because it's kind of a crazy story. So there was a case, the O'Bannon case, which is the name, image, and likeness case that had just started. And during the time that was starting, which is the main case that's kind of like coming out, changing laws and everything like
Give
that.
us the 2 seconds on that.
On what the case is.
Yeah.
It's the name, image, and having players be able to get paid essentially.
Okay.
Outside of sponsorships or outside of the school.
Who's
essentially.
Bohannon?
He's just an player.
O'Bannon?
Yeah, he represented the players in his case.
Okay.
And I represented it in mine, and we split. So essentially, what happened was I went ahead and my sophomore or junior year, can't remember which one. I got hurt at the beginning of the year. I'm out for the year. Done. Can't play. Can't travel. I'm in a boot. I'm on crutches.
Wow.
So I told my coach, there's a lot of guys who want to play for Clemson. There's walk-ons who work literally their whole life, their whole careers, whatever the case may be, to be able to travel or to be able to literally run down on kickoff and get knocked out. Like whatever it is, they just want to get on the field. So I remember telling my coach, I said, hey, for this year, obviously I'm gonna be leading from the back. I can't play. But I don't want to travel with the team as far as like going from away games because there's only a specific amount of people who can travel. So I let, whoever he wanted to, whether it was a backup, whether it was a walk-on, they get that opportunity. And so I just wanted to be useful with my time. And so I got creative, ended up making a music video called We Too Deep, which ended up being blown.
It popped off.
It blew up.
Millions of YouTube views.
Millions, yeah, 6 or 7 million views.
Let's go.
They play it every game, every third down. The whole stadium is chanting. So it's
And
like,
you
let's go.
produced the song, engineered the song, shot the video,
Yeah.
produced the
Every
video,
I did
edited the video from start to finish. The only thing you didn't do was film when you were the focal point of what was being filmed.
Whenever I was I was like, turn the camera. I'm like, just hold it right there and film. And then the other shots I was filming, I edited. I remember, just sitting in my dorm room, like literally editing it. I'm like, damn, this is gonna be dope. Like we need this. And it ended up working. It ended up being super cool. What I didn't realize was on the flip side of that, people started selling We Too Deep merch. So I went on camp.
Random students.
Students as well, but some of the stores just around the city, and there was some e-commerce shops.
in
I was
windows
seeing stuff everywhere, which was super cool. I'm like, damn, my stuff is in. People are wearing it, and they're singing the song.
It worked.
Like it worked. It was dope, and I was super happy until I went to say, okay, if they're making money off of it, why can't I? So I literally, within the span of 72 hours, got with some friends who I knew, put up a little website, made some T-shirts, and boom, it was up.
That's right.
And it was.
Did you know like that was a no-go for you?
I didn't at the time.
Okay.
No. I was just thinking like they're making money off my stuff. There's no way I
Entrepreneur,
can't.
opportunity. Let's get
And you
it.
just go.
Fill the
and you
market,
just
yeah.
go. Boom.
Exactly.
So, you know what I'm
And
saying?
you're not even playing this season.
And I wasn't. I was not playing. No, I was not. I mean, obviously I was eligible, but I wasn't actually playing because I was hurt.
Were you on the roster?
Yeah, for sure. I just wasn't traveling.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, did that. NCAA essentially is, compliance knocks on my door. Hey,
Your dorm room door?
not my actual door, but
They
they
sent
had a
you
meeting
email.
with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to, meet with them.
How
Hey,
quickly did that happen?
Very, very quick. Within 2 days of the site being up.
What?
Within 2 days. They're like, you cannot do this. And so I'm like, why can't I? Well, kind of got the run around just a little bit. So I'm like, cool. I didn't pay it any mind. I think we ended up registering the business in my sister's name, somebody that was not me. And I was just like, hey, it'll be in y'all's. Somebody else will run it. I'm really not even a part of it. I'm like focusing on football, whatever the case may be.
Right.
they saw it up again. They're like, hey, you can't be, well, if you're going to have a business, you can't be having a business that's in somebody's name because that's not your name. Okay, but if it's in my name, I can't do it. Yeah, exactly. So it was just, I was just getting kind of like the runaround.
Right. It's not my business.
No matter what.
That's it. Yeah, man.
No matter what lane you found, they were putting a blocker on
no matter
that.
what.
Yeah.
No matter what. Which, honestly, that wasn't even the kicker. That was one thing, right? The biggest thing was like we couldn't generate our own income. But at the same time, we also couldn't, at the time, the rules have changed now. At the time, we couldn't go get a job. We couldn't go work this place. We couldn't go create another source. So it's one thing not letting me, do what we do, whether it's create a business or create a stream of income or whatever. But it's another to say, yeah, not only can you not do your own thing, but you can't go work for this company. You can't go do this. You don't have, it was just a whole mess in that regard. So that was like a red flag to me. It's like something's up.
So how do you do you have, how do you, help me understand as a college athlete,
for sure.
How do you go out to the bars or how do you go eat? Like, how do you live a life if you have no money coming in? Obviously, based on your scholarship, a certain amount of your education or boarding and whatever else is paid for. But do you have to have money saved up to be able to, have spending money in college if you're an athlete? How does that work?
If your parents made under a certain threshold, which I think it was combined $35,000, and they gave you Pell Grant, which was an extra maybe $2,500 a semester, something like that. And this was 10 years ago, so it's changed a little bit now.
Yeah.
So the only if your parents made more than 35, and I think the threshold was 35, they made more than that, you couldn't get Pell Grant, so you couldn't get in. So the only way to get money was to live off campus because they say, okay, we'll give you an off-campus stipend. Mm-hmm. And it was like $416 per month. That's to pay rent, gas, food. At the time, the schools couldn't even feed us. They said they were only limited to one meal. They said you cannot feed them more than one meal per day. Yeah, it's crazy laws like that were in effect, and it was just, for me, that was a red flag because I'm seeing me, my friends, eating burgers, or they're asking me for money, or I remember
dollar menu living.
Of course, I'm taking a group of my friends to Thanksgiving dinners and things like that.
Yeah,
we had games that weekend, but. After that, we would go home, bring them to mine so they can eat good, whatever, in case their parents weren't nearby, and their parents can't just throw them money. So it was just a lot of stuff like that. And I'm seeing them on ESPN and obviously on all the commercials, and everybody's wearing a jersey. And I'm like, so everybody else can profit off of what we do.
Yeah.
Even the song, I make something unrelated, and they can profit off of a song, but as soon as we want to do it, it's a problem.
Right.
So that was the catalyst for me wanting to get involved and see how I can make a change. So going back to the Ed O'Bannon case, there was a big case that was kind of stirring up, and I reached out to him. I said, hey, I want to get involved. I ended up doing so, connecting with a couple of different attorneys and lawyers, and just kind of talked around, and they said, hey, we're actually going to be forming kind of a separate case, and so we would love for you to kind of represent that. I told him my story. We sat down kind of like what we were, and I pretty much told him, hey, whatever we can do to affect change in the future, I'm down. And so it wasn't all me just game planning and putting the lawyer team together, obviously.
But had you never reached out to Ed O'Bannon?
Right. O'Bannon, yeah.
O'Bannon, who knows where this could have gone? And so you reach out. The teams are working together now. Yeah. You've got your own legal team. Yeah. You're paying legal fees for this? Or?
I'm not paying any. Okay. No, not out of pocket.
So
they're taking care of it.
They're taking care of it. Yeah. You just got to be the face of it.
Or are you suing for damages as well?
Not damages. No.
Okay. No. Just to overturn the law.
Exactly.
Okay. So what was the actual lawsuit?
It started off just it morphed a couple different times. This is why it's taken so long. So we started all together, right? We were all, it was, I was representing a class. And we were kind of all under the umbrella of a case. Mm-hmm. And then what we realized was, well, if this one case goes down, there's your angle, there's my angle. So we kind of broke it up. So we kept his as the nucleus, and my case broke up into, at first we were trying to just sue to make it a free market. And then that ended up turning into educational benefits, which is what we got to now. And that's what we won. And then everything together. So it was the educational benefits piece. It was the NIL piece, which is name, image, and likeness. And there was another big piece to it. And then that together, pretty much, that's how we took them on.
And you've got precedent going forward, too. This serves as the new basis.
This
baseline.
is exactly as of last week. Yeah, which is dope. Which is dope.
So what are the for each of those different three pieces? What are the benefits of change from how it was to what it is now?
Well, I'm seeing Dave Portnoy sponsoring college athletes now.
Yeah, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk just signed someone too.
I saw him too. And who's he from?
Barstool.
Yes, the Barstool guy. I saw him. Everybody was sending me his videos. I was like, yo, this is fire.
Dude,
that's because of you.
This is fire.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, he did it.
I appreciate it.
Gary V, and then that article on Master P's son.
Yeah. He signed like a $2 million deal or something crazy.
Yeah, $2 million.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So now, can I work a job as a college athlete?
Yeah, now you can. Yeah, for sure.
So I could go be an Uber driver if I'm, an all-star quarterback. All-American, if you really wanted to.
I mean, I guess you can. That's what floats your boat.
Or you could get a $2 million sponsorship from somebody.
Or you could get a sponsorship. Or you could start a business. Whatever the case is now.
You can
monetize. Yeah, you can start a YouTube channel, which, 6-7 million views. Who knows how much I could have made just from that. It's going to change.
It changes the landscape. Yeah.
Literally the landscape.
That's so
the whole dynamic. And so it not only changes that, but people are arguing. There's so many different arguments. Amateurism. Isn't this going to take the purity out of the sport? First of all, the purity is out of the sport once you made $200 million in a year.
Yeah.
That's for one. But for two, man, I think it could even the playing field a little bit. I don't think a lot of people talk enough about that angle.
Talk about it.
So we have some of the power schools dominating. Clemson, of course, Alabama. They're doing good too. Georgia's they're doing. No, I'm just playing.
SEC schools,
SEC schools, they're doing
schools.
good. No, but seriously, they're dominating everything right now, which is cool. But what something like this can do, this brings marketing into play, right? So schools like, who knows, maybe like a Georgia Tech who's in the city. When you're in a these are college towns who are, Clemson, the Alabamas, Athens, like these are college towns. What about the big schools who can't really compete because they're in the city? And city people, college football, it's like, we can go grab a drink and watch the game, but they're not raving about it most of the time.
I never thought about that.
But now they're in big cities where huge corporations and maybe have access to better sponsorships or better deals or whatever the case may be.
Might be closer to that energy. Yeah.
It could be. So it could give them an advantage.
That's
and now it's kind of a free market in a way. Yeah.
So what do you see? Like, what are some use cases of this you see in the future? Like, what are the major ways this is going to change?
I think, well,
like
first,
example wise.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just an athlete coming on board, man. So another prime example, right? What guys are doing is they're going to the big schools. Why? They're going to the big schools. Yeah, exactly. Well, essentially to go to the next level.
Right.
But there's a lot of guys who are sitting behind the star quarterbacks for 4 years, and they might have that NFL potential, but they just don't really get to use it because they're behind a Deshaun Watson or whoever, right, sitting behind them. So, but they're still that big school, and they want to play on that platform. Well, what this deal is doing now moving forward is kind of changing the dynamic to where now it might be more beneficial for them to go to maybe a middle-sized school or a school where they'll get quicker playing time because now their name, image, and likeness will get out there quicker, and now they can actually monetize their name, image, and likeness quicker. So it could even out the playing field in that regard as well.
If you wanted to go play for a college team, and let's just say any college team, Kennesaw State, right? Mm-hmm. And you build your following, you now have an opportunity to skip 4 years ahead, if not more, and become a millionaire, multimillionaire, or even just do very well and build your brand in college.
I would do it if I were an athlete. Like, I wouldn't go you're absolutely right. I would not go be second string or Rudy. Have you seen the movie Rudy?
I have.
I wouldn't be Rudy for my whole college career when I could go to Kennesaw State, be a starting quarterback, and monetize my brand. Exactly. I would focus more on my branding and marketing team than on, I don't want to say on the sport, but I would put more attention into it.
Yeah, more than you would have before.
Because it's not like I got to get to this level before I can make money doing this.
Exactly. Now you can as an 18-year-old, and who knows?
Do you think that these kids? I mean, obviously the NBA lets people in at I think Kobe or someone.
They used to be like 18
and a half, young cats. So the argument I saw someone post is, was this going to interrupt the education for the students? Are they going to now start focusing on the sport and making money and say, forget the education part?
Well, they're not going to do that because you can't have the sport without
You can't be
the
eligible
education.
without the
exactly.
grades.
You're failing, and you're not going to be able to play.
Yeah.
Will it change the dynamic and maybe have to focus a little bit more on some certain things? Sure. But,
For sure.
I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah.
But you can't, without the grades, you can't play anyways. So if you can't play, you're probably not making money anyways.
Wow. So this went on for 8 years.
Yeah.
And
My specific litigation,
It didn't start with the Supreme Court, does it?
No,
How does
no,
that?
it
Tell me how the
didn't.
legal process works.
It didn't. And, Jeffrey Kessler, if you out here, I'm going to have you answer. No, I'm just kidding. That's no, I'm
You
kidding.
can talk to my attorney.
Right. I mean, honestly, I had one of the greatest teams, so they were literally handling stuff when I needed to be there, and I had to go do depositions and a lot of different stuff. I was doing it. But as far as the in and outs, I mean, initiating the litigation, going through the process. How it got to Supreme Court, I wish I could articulate that in a manner that everybody could understand.
Yeah.
I guess that's just God, and more the God part was 9-0. That was insane. So it was literally a 9-0 win, which is unheard of.
Not a unanimous decision amongst
100%
yeah.
unanimous decision.
You didn't meet our Supreme Court justices.
I didn't. No, I didn't.
They just present the facts and they review the case from the lower court.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting. So talk about your legal team a little bit. You know, you've shouted out Jeff Kessler. You said it's the best team in the game.
Absolutely.
What makes you say that about them?
Absolutely, man. Just their want for change in a lot of ways, and so he's already done it in many facets. I mean, there's some huge names. Tom Brady, I believe it was the Deflategate.
He did that. He handled that. Wow.
His suit, I believe it was called McNeil versus the NFL. That's why the NFL has free agency, because of his lawsuit.
Let's go.
And now the NCAA has name, image, and likeness monetization of the players because of his lawsuit.
How does he make money in this lawsuit as a lawyer?
I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I'm sure he's good.
Yeah. Someone's
You're
covering
not
those
suing
legal
for
fees.
damages.
We were not. To be clear, we were not suing for damages whatsoever. So it wasn't we win this lawsuit and
You just wanted to-
You did
$100
this
million.
pro bono,
Absolutely,
essentially.
absolutely.
You wanted to
Yeah.
win this to change the future for the players.
100%. And at the time, it was really. I have a younger brother who was playing at Tennessee at the time, and so I know what the guys were going through. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, we can, initiate, go through this entire process, and hopefully, maybe the back end of their career, they can do certain things. And it took a little longer than expected, but
How long did you expect?
Everything does. A couple years, 3-4 years.
Did you learn anything that, as an entrepreneur who's just, you for example, you saw the hole in the market to make the We Too Deep thing.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, did you learn or observe anything about how lawyers play chess, or anything like that you're going to use moving forward in your entrepreneurial career, which we'll break into next?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I learned a ton, and it really wasn't even necessarily just on the lawyer's part. What I learned was more so how industries operate, and how how greed almost consumes these massive industries in a lot of ways. And I think that's all it is.
Is this from like cross examinations?
Yeah,
with like
just understanding what's going on, like
stakeholders sitting and your attorneys just
going through it. And not only that, but removing me from, that process, and literally seeing the revenues that schools are bringing in firsthand, what that does, how it changes the economy of not only the schools, but
the city it's in.
Literally the city.
I would imagine if
city.
you're big enough or have enough, the state too.
I'm sure. So think about it.
Like, what's Alabama without University of Alabama and Auburn?
Right. Exactly.
Oil, the Floribama Shore, Alabama has a few revenue drivers for sure.
I'm sure. Of course they do. Not to say they're nothing without them,
Yeah.
but I mean,
That's a big one.
You add the football,
Yeah.
it's a different
empire,
game.
though. What an empire
It's a different
they've
game.
built.
Right.
Yeah. Clemson
Empire,
too. Now.
yeah.
Don't sleep. No, I'm playing. No, I'm not.
That's right.
But no, man, it's like I said, man, it's changed literally because of the football team. Not single handedly. Obviously, there's a lot of factors: great coaching, leadership. There's a lot of things that go into it. Presidents, all of that. But because of the football team, essentially, or majority part because of the football team, now real estate in this city is more expensive. Now the value is higher. Now the restaurants are getting more business.
That's right.
I mean, we can trickle it down to the restaurants are getting more business. They have more trash, and now the squirrels can eat more. Like everybody can eat prior to this rule change. Besides the athletes.
Well, now
that's where the biggest problem was.
And I think what you're saying is interesting, because now it's funny because everyone now is going to be like those cities are going to be able to profit more because you have the income from the team, but now also the income from the players.
Exactly.
And the team's income is not being hindered by this because they're allowing a way for the players to make money that's non-competitive to what the team is doing.
Exactly, and has nothing to do with the team. Yeah.
How much time did this take out of your day job? Like
In the beginning, it was a lot more, but I mean, 8 years into it, it wasn't an every day, every week, every month thing. I mean, in the beginning, had to go fly out to do some depositions. Obviously, we had some privilege. It was really dope, man.
Doing depositions?
Yeah, sitting in court. Yeah.
And you
very interesting.
Did you get nervous at all?
I didn't. I actually liked it.
Were you getting grilled by their lawyers?
Was I? Was I?
Like aggressive? Like we don't think we know you did something wrong, and we're gonna get you to say it.
Yeah. So think about it this way. Me, right? I was representing the entire class in my lawsuit, right? So that's thousands of athletes and future athletes, hundreds of thousands of future athletes, right?
Yeah.
Their single-handed job was to tear down the case by saying how bad of a representative I was. Right. So if they don't have a representative, they don't have a case, right? I remember one time I had to meet with them and they had to come to my house. Like, okay. They kind of gave me a heads up that they need to see some information. This was back in, I don't know what year this was, maybe 2014 or 15. Anyways, they bring in this machine. It's about this big. And they say, we need your phone. And I literally had to put my phone, a machine I had never seen before. I remember putting my phone to it and I had to wait like 2 or 3 hours and it literally downloaded everything I had ever done on my phone, which I didn't know at the time.
What?
Like they mentioned it, but I didn't really know what was going on exactly with that piece. So I was just like, do whatever you have to do. I have nothing to hide. So they email password. They needed almost every electronic trace I had ever done past 13 years old was there. So go ahead.
Was that trickery? Like, did you have to submit to that?
I believe I did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe I did. Yeah. Especially if I'm gonna be representing. I can't say, I'm gonna represent everybody, but I'm gonna withhold this information and you can't have access to this. Like, I had nothing to hide. And so I remember specifically in the deposition, they go to page 247, line B. And it was like this email that I had sent from like my freshman year. And they were trying to point out how we were sharing projects and cheating. So they went that deep into how bad of a representative, I was and how this case shouldn't go any further. So that was crazy.
That's wild.
So it was that type of I'm trying to.
How do you handle that when they're saying you cheated? You're not credible enough to be the guy sitting here being the face of this. Yeah. What are you saying?
I mean, I just responded. I mean, I think that particular situation, it was a group project. I guess they didn't think about that. So I mean, I just said exactly what it was. Like I said, I had nothing to hide, especially at the time. Well, I still don't. So cut that out. No, just so, bro, I don't know. It was on and popping. So I liked it, man. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
That's incredible, bro. You've done it's an incredible. It's so hard to fathom how incredible it is what you've done because you're my homie. Like, you're our friend. Like,
right.
It's like, you're not Yoda, the guy from the news. You're right. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Hey, you're Yoda. Holy shit, my friend is in the news.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm with it. Yeah, exactly. So I put the glasses on. I had the collared shirt.
That also
clean.
that helps bring a transition. We know you and your entrepreneurial journey. Yeah, if you don't know this, guys, Yoda actually helped design our logo.
Yes, sir.
All three of them.
True.
He was a huge part and support in the beginning of the Hustle Up podcast.
Edited the first episode ever. Go check it out.
Check it
out. So really, truly a homie and a good guy. Yoda, you got started when I met you. You were doing creative, and in the last couple of years, you have blown up selling. It's insurance
in the insurance industry. Life insurance in particular. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about that, because it's been a wild journey, explosive growth.
Yeah.
What happened? How'd you find it, and how did you start to excel at it?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Great segue too, because it came from relationships I had built at Clemson. One of my old teammates, he came over. I was, wanting to start a business. Entrepreneurs, we know we need to do something. We just don't know what exactly, right? So I had that inside of me. I'm like, I know there's something. I had tried marketing, e-commerce, a bunch of different stuff. I mean, NCAA shut down the e-commerce, so I couldn't really do that at the time.
Never too late to pick it back up.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm gonna get the website soon, and I'm gonna shout it out.
There you go. Let's go.
No,
We Too Deep.
WeTooDeep.com. Check it out. Oh man. Dang, this is live stream. Somebody's gonna go get the domain and put it up before I. No, I'm just playing. But no. I'm like, that's why I hesitated saying it. But no, so one of my old teammates got into the life insurance industry, and y'all know me. I'm a creative. Just like all things creative, whether it's fashion, whether it's design, whether it's helping people set up studio, whatever the case may be. So the opposite of that is like life insurance. It's like what. When he first told me about it, I said, "Nah, bro, that doesn't.
That ain't me.
I don't even have a pair of khakis. Like, I'm gonna sell life insurance. What do you mean? That's what I thought. I'm like, gotta have a button up and khakis to do that, bro. I don't have that, so I'm out. But he ended up telling me about it. I kind of saw the numbers that he was producing. He was making good money, 10, 15K a week. Shout out to my boy CJ who
Profit?
Revenue.
Revenue?
Yeah, revenue.
Good margin?
Yeah, great margin. Okay. Great margin. I mean, only cost is gas money and
what is the margin?
Leads.
85%?
It depends how you're running your business, but you can say
We'll be a low ball and high ball.
You can say we'll say between 60 and 85. Yeah.
Percent margins?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it could be as high as 90, but average will say 60
on a
and
10
85.
to 15K revenue week for someone who's middle of the road, top of their game.
No, that's not top of the game. That's middle of the road.
Wow.
Yeah, that's middle of the road.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which is crazy to say.
Are we talking about CJ?
Yes. Yeah, we're
Shout
talking about
out
CJ. Shout out to my boy CJ,
CJ.
the young king. But yeah, so he introduced me to the industry. We got with a company that I was with for like 2 or 3 months. Ended up, I think, first, second, third week, me and him were the highest sellers, highest production, everything. And so we kind of got together and we were just like, man, if these guys can do it, what are we doing? So we ended up starting our own agency. And
within a month.
Within 2 months. Within 2 months of being in the industry, started our own agency.
And there was testing and licensing you had to go through.
I mean, there was a ton of stuff we had to go through. I mean, starting your own business from scratch was crazy.
Well, especially when you're selling.
Specifically for insurance.
Yeah,
specifically for insurance. Yeah, so
you have
very,
to have
very
licensing.
regulated. Yeah,
Okay.
extremely, highly regulated industry. But long story short, partnerships don't always work out. Still, my best friend to this day. But product-wise, we saw things a little bit different. So I went and started my own agency, and I ended up partnering with a huge company called Family First Life, which made so much sense because what we were struggling with resource-wise, process-wise, they had
infrastructure.
They had everything, infrastructure, process, resources.
Yeah.
And my skill set was the marketing side. So I said it makes more sense for me to plug my skill set into a system like this that I can scale. And then from there, it was... Yeah, that was back in January.
I'm pretty sure I heard CJ say one time the only way to build intergenerational wealth is through real estate and insurance.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
The two biggest industries.
And
real estate is talked about a lot. Insurance is not really talked about a
That's
lot.
kept secret.
Yeah, man. Seriously.
and good on you to partner up. We just had Corbett on the podcast. Corbett's sits at the top of ATDC, which is Georgia Tech's incubator.
Okay, cool.
And he connects startups with Fortune 100 companies.
Cool.
And his podcast, he was like, we were saying, what are some of the do's and don'ts of building a company or pitching? And he said, you got to know when you're the guy. And you got to know when you're not the guy,
right.
essentially.
That's
and
true.
you got to know what you're strong at, and you got to know what they're strong at.
Got to.
And if it's copacetic and symbiotic, you sometimes have to step aside and let them be the guy.
Right.
And they have to respect you enough to sometimes step aside and you be the guy.
Vice versa, exactly.
Right. And
exactly.
so I'm sure it was a big decision to branch off and do your own thing from CJ. Good on you for keeping that amicable, by the way, because that's important. And for you to still, he's your best friend. Like that's good. You shouldn't ever let business get in relationships.
Right.
But then to also figure out that you need to partner up, that's entrepreneurship to the T right there.
That was it, man.
Yeah. So now you're with this company.
Yeah.
You're working with them. What are you doing from a marketing standpoint?
Yeah. So honestly, just. We've been putting out content because we're growing an agency, which means we're hiring agents. So anybody, I mean, you're in a somewhat of a similar industry, and there's a lot of people who are either working their 9-to-5s and hate it, or maybe they have selling skills or people skills or whatever it is, and they just want more. Right? There's a lot of companies where it doesn't matter how good you are at selling, how hard you work. You can only make $10,000 in a month or maybe 12, whatever that number is.
Yeah,
right?
capped.
People have that
Capped.
ceiling, extremely capped. Right. So just like our industries, it's one of those things where the harder you work, it's a very duplicatable system, and it's kind of like plug and play. And so we're just bringing people on, teaching them how to do that hands-on. everyday training, bringing them in, showing them the ropes for anybody who wants to actually put in the work. Not everybody obviously makes it through, because it's one thing sitting here saying, I'll do it and I'm going to do it. It's another thing when, you get all those no's and people tell you objections. And
how many objections are you getting a day? From a sales standpoint.
I try to get as many as I can.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So how many
are you cold calling?
Not necessarily cold calling. So we're leads based.
Yeah.
So we buy our revenue essentially. So we buy our leads, we talk to them, and then
warm calling.
Essentially warm calling. Yeah. Yeah.
But you're dialing for money.
100%.
All right.
How much does it cost to buy X number of leads, and what is X number?
Yeah, for sure. So we'll say to make it even, we'll say $10 per lead, because that's kind of cut down the middle.
Okay.
So we'll say $10 per lead, 100 leads, $1,000. Out of the average commission is $1,100. To make it really easy, we'll say the average commission is $1,000. So literally, you buy 100 leads for $1,000. You sell 1 out of 100, you break even. Everything past that is profit.
Are you usually selling 1 out of 100?
No, way more than that.
Way
more than that?
Give me a good middle
not
of the
me.
road.
I'm just talking about in general.
In general, yeah. In a generality, give me a middle of the road.
Middle of the road.
Out of every 100, what's your conversion?
If it's somebody who's brand new, like within their first few months or first 2 months, and you're working it how you're supposed to work it, like you're full time, and you're not just doing it for 30 minutes here and dipping off.
It's not a quota thing; it's an incentive thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So 5, 6, 7. I mean, there's people who come on their first week and are doing 10,000 revenue. Yeah, with 100.
How do these leads find you? Like, are they pre-qualified? Did they sign up? Did they fill something out that says, "Hey, I would like to know more about insurance"? Or did they just express? Did they Google something that put them on a list? Like,
yeah. So it's not really list based. So they have to answer like 15 questions to become a lead. So it's not like I'm interested, boom, and then their information pops everywhere. They have to answer. We have their date of birth, their first name, last name, middle name. Sometimes their favorite color, their hobby. Zip code.
Wow.
Sometimes if are they smokers? So it's a lot of information that they have to answer.
So their team's up for you.
Absolutely.
Who's collecting it?
Absolutely. Collecting what?
Data.
So with Family First Life, the company I partnered with, they went ahead and partnered with some lead vendors.
Okay.
They might have even bought a couple of them. And that was part of the problem we were running into, because we were in the same space and trying to work with different people. And I realized they were cornering the market on all these leads. So I'm like, that's smart. Yeah.
You can either go with them or go against. If you can't beat them, can't beat them, join them.
Join them, something like that. So yeah, man.
I mean, not that you couldn't have beat them, but you're young. You're how old? 29.
I'm 29. Yeah.
Path of least resistance. Learn from people who've done it big.
Exactly.
And then most people are learning in their 20s, practicing in their 30s, executing in their 40s. If you could bundle up, learn and practice into your 20s, by 35, your opportunities and possibilities are infinite.
Literally endless.
Seeds, and then one day you wake up and you have a whole garden.
Boom.
Right.
Exactly.
At a younger age, because you took initiative, you knew when to sit in the driver's seat, when to sit in the passenger seat. And now, boom, here you are a decade later, early, mid-30s, and some people are just figuring out how they feel about a 9-to-5 job at that point.
True.
So
and just realizing, like, wait, maybe my life isn't exactly what it's supposed to be.
So do you do a lot of recruiting?
Yeah.
So what's more important to you? Is it recruiting or is it selling to these leads?
So selling is how you fund your business in recruiting. Like, you can't recruit anybody without selling, because you're not having consistent cash flow.
Right.
So what the typical full-time and somebody who's building an agency looks like is you're selling revenue-wise anywhere from 30 to 50 plus thousand per month, which is all, obviously revenue, right? And so you're putting that back into your business, office space, supplies, programs.
I
have 2 full-time employees, 1 part-time. So you're just making it here, putting it back here, making it here, putting it
overhead.
Back here. Not all of it, obviously, but yeah.
It's overhead, employee costs.
Yeah, all the general stuff it takes to run a business, ads,
that's
marketing.
That's a break-even equation, because once you've got your fixed costs covered, hey, I'm profiting this much on average per job.
Exactly.
So I've got to do X number of jobs to cover this, or Y number of jobs to profit that.
Exactly. And you know those numbers to a T.
And so you get that down, and then the recruiting piece. Do you have your week split? Is it a threshold of, if I hit 80K this, in this month, then my focus turns primarily to recruitment?
Yeah, but it's more of a weekly basis. So for example, if you can front load your week and make 5, 6, 7, 10, 15,000 in a 3-4 day window, well, now you have another 3-day window to just focus on recruiting. Does that happen every time? No, not exactly. But that's generally what
That's
most
the
people
goal.
try to shoot for.
Where are
Yeah.
you recruiting from?
Social media. It's been all social media up to this point.
What platforms?
Yeah, all of them. LinkedIn, social media. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
MySpace.
We talked about that.
Running ads or just
MySpace.
reaching out to folks or what?
Man, it's been all organic, man.
Yeah.
100% organic.
So
Yeah.
you're reaching out to a recruit. Like, let's say I'm listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
Can I be 17? Do I need to be 18?
You have to be 18 and
Okay,
older.
let's say I'm 19 and a half.
Cool.
19 and 3/4. Thinking about dropping out of college. Maybe I want to stay in college. Definitely don't want to work at a restaurant or a bar.
Yeah.
But I can talk to people. I'm charismatic. I got good people skills. I could sell a bag of shit to the Queen of England and make her think she needs it.
Right.
Ketchup popsicles to a lady in white gloves.
Yeah, exactly,
Say that.
right? So I'm a guy. Am I a guy you want? If so, how do you recruit me? How do you make you a company that I want?
Correct. So that's a loaded question. With what we do, when you're leads based, you don't need skill. You need to develop skill over time
Okay.
to become
That's
better
great.
at what you do. But
Communication skill.
Yes, communication skill, selling skill, but that's stuff you learn over time. You can't. Most people are not born with that. You learn that, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people really, really successful at what we do. Meaning successful, mean they make at least 400, 500, 600 grand a month. And if you had a conversation with them, you would probably not a month. Excuse
You
me,
said
a year.
make?
A year.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I'm
He
about
will
to
spit
quit
his
that.
drink out.
New occupation for me.
Rewind that. What?
right. Excuse me.
We're doing the wrong thing, Quinn.
per year, right? Just selling.
Yeah.
And if you talk to them, you'd be like, "There's no way they're a salesman," because you don't. I mean, when you have leads, it just becomes a numbers game.
They have a system. It is a numbers game.
It's literally that.
What's your minimum number of calls per day?
So I have 2 call days. Mondays and Thursdays are usually my call days, and I'm setting up my appointments for the other days in the week. Minimum dials.
Yeah.
Whoo. I can't remember the last time I was under 250
That's right.
A day?
Yeah. And I've been as high as I think 975 was my highest.
And that makes sense too, because if you spend time on the phone with them, if you reach them, right, that's going to take time away from the number on the dial isn't necessarily important, but you've got, so 250 dials is a minimum.
We'll call it 250. Yeah.
250. And then what kind of quota for, hey, if I talk to them, how many people am I trying to set appointments for?
Correct.
What's
So
that next step?
I'm generally at least 1 out of 2 I'm setting appointments if I talk to you.
Yeah.
Like if you pick up the phone, you say hello, 50%. 50%. Yeah.
So I'm this 19-year-old. I found you on TikTok. You make TikToks, right?
Yes, correct.
For your company.
Correct.
I find you on TikTok. I see you're in Atlanta. I want to make some more bread. I hit you up. What do you tell me to do?
Yeah, for
How do you
sure.
what do you tell me to do?
For sure. Well, anybody watching who's in that position, there's a couple things. Y'all can contact me directly, which I put my number out there. It's 678-920-2169. Right.
That's game, guys.
That's
Yeah.
it right there. Excuse me.
Growth.
My hey, you dig? my Instagram is Yoda Jenkins, YODAJENKINS. But what that looks like, to answer your question, because we bounced around after you asked that about 5 minutes ago, so my bad. We don't necessarily. It's not a lot of outreach stuff. Like we're not cold DMing a bunch of people. We're probably going to get into that, but we just haven't needed to yet, growth wise. So what we're doing is putting out a lot of organic content, and the people who are finding it are finding it, right? And what it looks like is you see a video, you end up clicking our page,
Slide in your DMs.
Yeah, you'll click on our page and usually click around a couple different videos. You'll see, hey, what's this about? Comment, hey.
Okay, when you say page, you're talking about TikTok profile, not website page.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yes. So you'll click on the social media page, whether it's a TikTok, Instagram, maybe LinkedIn. All in our videos, it's like comment for more information. So you'll usually comment, hey, what is this? I'm interested. We'll comment back, hey, great. What you can do is click the link in our bio to watch 2 videos about our company and schedule your interview. So typically what most people do is, if they're really that interested, they'll click that. They'll watch the 2 videos. It's probably 30 minutes total to give you an understanding instead of just walking into an interview like, yeah, what's up with this? Because, if you can't watch a 30-minute video, probably not going to be
Always
the
show
person.
up correct to an interview. Never walk into an interview be like, what is this?
Right. So what do you guys do?
Yeah.
It's like, did you watch the video that we said to? And we send it to them multiple times.
Yeah.
And so what you do, you watch the video, you book on your calendar, and then either one of my recruits or myself pick up the phone during that time slot, call you, and it's usually a 5-10 minute call, kind of breaking down, whatever it might be.
So you're informing them at what it is.
Exactly. And we're not more so informing, it's more so seeing if they're a good fit, because anybody can do this, but not everybody will do
How do you identify a good fit?
It's kind of a feel thing at this point, but it really just depends on what they want to do. Like if somebody wants to make, hey, I just want to make an extra $100 per month. That's great, but that's probably not the best fit, just because it takes too much to make that 100. You have to go get your license. You have to study. You have to get your license, pass an exam, invest in league, like learn the system. To do all that for an extra $50 a month may not be the best fit.
Right.
But if somebody wants to, blow the top off, or hey, I'm willing to work weekends and I want to make, an extra $5,000, $10,000.
An ambitious hustler.
Somebody ambitious. If they're willing to do certain things, it could be a good fit.
Yeah. And so good fit. What's the next step?
Yeah. So the next step is kind of telling them what that looks like, which is generally most people are not licensed. So we're hiring all over the country. So we have agents in how many states? Probably 14 states right now.
Wow.
So letting them know what that process
Southeast
looks like
all over?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. From here to Alaska and
Just major
everywhere
cities,
between. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so back to that example, I'm a 19-year-old kid. We chopped it up.
Yep.
You're like, yo, you're someone I want on the team.
Yeah.
Then you tell me I need to go do what? I need to get my license?
Yeah, you have to get your license.
And what's that process?
So it's pretty much, it's very, very simple. But it's studying for a pre-license exam, which we pay for.
Okay.
Right? We pay out of pocket for that. It's like a $350 cost. All they have to do is book their exam and put it on the date. So we say, hey, we send them the information on how to book your exam in your whatever state you're in. So if you're in Georgia, at the end of the conversation, they say they want to move forward. They're willing to do X, Y, and Z. It's a good fit. Okay, perfect. So that we know you're serious, because we're going to pay for your pre-licensing material. You need to go ahead and book out your exam. So you book an exam before you actually start studying.
Right.
And we make sure it's in a 2-week time frame. So they book their exam, they pay for it, which is, $30, $40, $50, whatever the kids. They send us the confirmation. We pay for their study material, send it to them, and that kind of starts the process.
So they pay for the test, $50. You pay for the study materials, $350.
Exactly. And then from there, it's kind of on them. It's not necessarily, we're not just like, yeah, go do it. You plugged into somewhat of a system.
And so you Go ahead.
Yeah.
Regular 40-hour work week. What could somebody in their first year come in and expect to make?
Working 40 hours.
A regular 40-hour work week.
Not in the office, working 40 hours.
19 and a half-year-old college kid, ambitious, hustler, willing to work the night shift, willing to work the weekends, wants it. You're
Not
his
scared
role.
to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, man.
Has the bread to pay for those leads.
Right, exactly.
Which is $1,000.
The first one, anywhere from
I'm not talking about just
1,500.
dialing 40,
willing to
but
work.
in the office from 9 to 5 days a week.
Cool. I'll put it this way. We had a girl, her name is Leslie, and she was coming out of college, and she said she saw what we had to do, and she was babysitting at the time, and she had like huge monstrous student loan debt, like $200,000. She was going to school to be a doctor. I think she had just finished, and she said, yeah, I'm babysitting, and it's not doing anything for my debt. Like, it's doing nothing. So she saw what we were doing, got into it, got on the interview, had this same conversation we had. Fast forward 4 weeks later, and she did $35,000 deposited in her account.
How old?
First month. She was 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the money is there but she was also working too. You know what I mean? Like if you're willing to work, it's one of those things that you get out what you.
So this is one of those things. This is one of those things. You know how they always say it's like your LLC costs this much, your blank costs this much, hustle free. Like this is actually one of those things where very few startup costs, very few maintenance and marketing costs. Yeah. All you need is the ability to grind, hustle, and face rejection.
That's it. And be entrepreneurial minded if you want to build an agency, kind of like doing what I'm doing. It's almost like a franchise, right? The problem with starting a business, not the problem, but a lot of the hurdles with starting a business is what product am I going to sell? Who am I going to sell it to? And how am I going to get to those people? Even if I conquer those three, Well, once you get to, 6 figures plus, it's like, okay, how do I scale? Who's going to show me that, right? And that's steps, which is why it's very, very regular for a business to take 10 to 15, 20 years to even get to that point, $1 million threshold.
Right.
Well, with this, it's almost like a franchise where what is the product? Okay, the company has the best life insurance products on the market. Like, regardless of what it is, best products on the market, right? Who is it going to be sold to? That's already done. The marketing, the hundreds of $1 million behind the marketing is already set. How am I going to get to those people? That's already done for you. You literally you don't have to worry about Facebook algorithms and this and ads and A/B testing. It's literally you're buying the leads. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then how am I going to scale? There's other people, in the agency, in the company who can teach you. As long as you're putting in the work, they'll teach you straight out of their time, hop on 30-minute call, whatever the case may be. And so it kind of answers a lot of those questions that people have with starting a business. And that's why it made sense to me.
So new hires are coming on, they're filling out they're getting their own LLC. So you're hiring them as contractors?
They're hiring as contractors, yeah.
And
not all of them have their own LLC, but some of them do.
Yeah. Straight commission.
Straight 100%.
No salary.
None.
But earnings are uncapped.
Uncapped.
Potentially unlimited.
Unlimited.
How much could I make? Like, is this something where you have to, because I know for roof sales, it takes, 3 to 6 weeks before you're seeing a check.
True.
Is that accurate?
It can be, yes.
It can be.
Yeah,
so
people have come in their first week and gotten $5,000 checks, $10,000 checks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So is it the same? Is it the same with you?
Yeah, it's the exact same.
So you can make money week 1, week 2.
Yeah, a little. From the time you sit down with them, sign the application, and they're approved.
Yeah.
The money's usually in your account within 48 hours.
Wow.
So within your first couple of days, you're in profit.
You could make money if you get some on your first day.
Exactly.
You could have the money deposited by day 3.
Exactly.
Hashtag dial for dollars.
Dialing for dollars, man.
So earlier we asked you, how do you face rejection, and you said I work for it. Like, I look for those rejections.
Yeah.
What are some real ways, like, were you that way when you started?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so how did you shape your mind, to be able to get 950 calls a day or 250 on average?
Yeah, tracking what I was doing. That changed everything. Yeah, data changed everything. So when I realized, when you're in the game and you're making dials and you're handling objections, whatever, sales, whatever the case may be, it can feel like a lot's happening. Or if you're new, oh man, I'm getting this and I'm struggling here and I'm doing this. Okay, how many people did you talk to? No, I was calling all day. How many people did you talk to? And if you look at the data, it usually speaks for itself. And what I did was I started looking at the data, and I noticed I have a column on my sheet. It has how many dials I had. Mm-hmm. It has how many no's I've gotten, and it has how many appointments I've booked. And then what I did that every day, every week. And then next to it on an Excel sheet, I put how much money I made.
Later on, you did that.
Yeah.
Or that was from the beginning?
At the end of the week. So from day one, I started doing that.
Okay.
Yeah. From day one. So my first couple weeks, I could probably pull it out on my phone. It shows. And so I would just match up the numbers. And this number that said I made the most, I would look here and I had the most no's and I had the most dials. The next week, maybe it was half the amount of dials, half the amount of rejection, half the amount of money. So when I started seeing that data, I'm like, oh, no. You want to chase the objections, because the more you get, the more
no's
money you make.
Just some weird coincidence. The more no's you get, the more dollars say.
That's it, man. And once I realized that, I'm like, wait, the emotion is not in what they say. It's in how many people can I get to just say something. Because if I can get you to talk, and even if you say no a lot, I know my money over here is going to be higher.
If every no is 50 cents or 5 cents and every yes is $50, you're going to see no, $50, no, and it's still not going to equal.
Sales is always a numbers game. Yeah, so every no you get brings you one step closer to a yes. Let's just keep it simple and say that out of 100 no's, one of those is going to be a yes. So 100 responses, one of those is going to be a yes. Yeah. That means when you get up to 99, you are getting excited.
Exactly.
Because, statistically, I'm that much closer to a paycheck. I'm that much closer to whatever bag I want next.
That's facts. And it's crazy because when you're in an uncapped role or all commission role, if you don't know any better and you don't understand the numbers, you kind of think like that. It's like, oh man, I can go out here and do all this and nothing can happen, or I can have a great week or a bad week. But honestly, if you just dial it in and just study your numbers and work the numbers.
No pun intended.
Facts. If you do that, it can almost be like a salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you're, working leads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It can almost be like a salary where it comes that predictable.
You know what people's two biggest fears are across the board in
What's
humanity? Falling from heights and public speaking.
I was about to say that public
Right.
speaking was definitely one of them.
When you look at public speaking, it's rejection. People
Yeah.
don't like rejection. And
Right.
Evolutionarily, maybe it's because we were put on court when we had to protect ourselves, present in front of the king, not die. The rejection aspect, sales is a job people don't want to do because people don't like being told no 100 times in a row.
Right.
And the dollars are there because you're doing something. They say the price of excellence is the willingness to go where the competition won't. You're doing what the competition won't do.
That's
Getting
real.
paid for it.
And getting paid for it.
That's
And that's what
facts.
you get paid for the rejection. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny too. Another thing you asked that, like what made me realize that, I also calculated how much money I was making per dial. So divided everything and you realize, I can't remember what the exact number, but it was around like $23 or $24 or something like that. So if somebody gave you a phone, a stack of leads and said, you can call them as many times as you want, but as many times as you dial, I'm going to give you $23.
Yeah.
How many times would you most people would die
950 a
Over and
day.
over
So
again.
you have carpal tunnel in
How
your
many
lungs.
times can I do this in a minute?
Look like Stephen Hawking.
You're going. But it's crazy because that's literally how the numbers work out. So if you think about it like that, it's like, no, let me get my 23 every time I hit that button.
I look at it per door knocked. You'll go out and sometimes you'll make what will equate to like 10 or 15 grand in a day from the number of yeses you get. And I go back and say, how many doors did I knock? Then every door I knocked, whether I spoke to somebody or not, I left information. They told me no.
Yeah.
Every door I knock averages back to this amount. And that ain't so bad.
Right. And do you know what that amount is for y'all or for you or for
On the
top
average
guy?
per door?
Yeah, per
It
door.
depends
I don't know
on
if you've done it.
Yeah, so I have, and the day that I made 15, basically what would equate to 15,000 down the line. It's a 60 to 90 day pipeline.
Okay,
So
I got
only
you.
knocked 92 doors.
Okay.
So I mean, it ends up being almost 150 a door.
Yeah.
Right?
If you think
Wow,
about
yeah.
it like that, it's
Yeah.
That's slight
Now,
word.
Now,
Yeah.
some
many-
days are hot and
Right.
some days are not so hot. So
Yeah,
I mean,
of
some
course,
days you'll
of
go out
course.
and you'll do what's 1,000 a door,
Right.
and then so my average is more like on the day it'll change.
I got
You
you.
have
Yeah. I
big
got you.
neighborhoods, small neighborhoods, and
Yeah.
I train a lot of folks too.
right. You're doing a whole bunch now. And what's crazy is to hour, right? It could be crazy, right? Great sale, great hour, crappy hour. Day to day, same thing. Week to week, maybe. But if you look at it from a month to month or quarter to quarter,
Yeah.
bro, the numbers average out.
It's crazy.
You take that emotion out and just strictly look at that, like it doesn't matter. You have a 15K day and then 0, 0, 0, and then you keep consistent. If you look at it from a broader perspective, right, whether it's a month or a quarter, it's like the numbers typically.
They stack.
Cold
are there.
calling, warm calling, door-to-door residential, door-to-door business.
Yeah.
These jobs you go in, sales is entrepreneurship. You're going
100%.
out. They say it's not about what you can do, it's about what you can sell. So you
Yeah.
take somebody, like in your case, you partner with somebody you know they can deliver the product.
Exactly.
And you can sell. You are pursuing your entrepreneurship, pursuing your path,
Mm-hmm.
and treating this as a vehicle. What's your passion project now? Like, what are you going to use these funds to
Fund.
To fund.
Man, honestly, this has become my passion project, which
Let's go.
is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insurance of all things.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we're funding that, funding media. I think just like your in door-to-door sales, there's just not enough emphasis put on like what can happen and the outcomes, right? People just don't know it enough. Why does somebody look at, maybe go to your company door-to-door? Nah.
Right.
Insurance? Nah, that's whatever. Oh, real estate? I want to do that.
That's hot, yeah.
Because it's people have put the marketing dollars behind making it sexy. They've put it on TV,
There's
right?
an emphasis on it. Like
There's
you
a
said.
huge
Yeah.
emphasis on it. It looks good. They made TV shows. They made reality stars out of it. Everything, but nobody has done that in our respective industries. So one of the things I want to do is
Let's be
bring
the
that
guys.
attention.
Make it sexy
Hey,
enough.
let's
There you
bring
go.
that attention.
Yeah,
Somebody got to do
yeah.
it. So hey, why not? Why not us?
Hell
so
yeah,
that's kind of like my passion project and to
Dude.
change that landscape.
This
Yoda
has been
Jenkins,
epic.
bro, track star in high school, football star. You were the fastest in Georgia in high school, weren't you?
I was.
Yeah,
in high
fastest
school,
runner
yeah.
in Georgia, 2009, 10, 2010, fastest runner in Georgia high school. Cornerback at
sir.
Clemson,
Yes,
all
sir.
4 years. Made it to the league. injury took you out of the league.
Exactly. NFL for me stood for not for long because it was about like three months.
But you know what's cool is through college and through the NFL, you have gotten exposure to high-level individuals,
connections.
Very much so.
athletes, coaches, people in the media, lawyers. You've been able to leverage those connections to, I mean, now you run an incredible business. And I got to assume that the people you met and the experiences and even that dedication to the grind, like figuring out, hey, here's my plan your work your plan. I'm going to commit to this and make it happen has helped push you to excel in the business world.
Dude, those connections.
Undeniably.
1000%.
The creativity, man, to make that We Too Deep YouTube video and the apparel brand, which may or may not come back on the scene someday.
Man's got a life resume.
And now you just beat the NCAA in a Supreme Court ruling and overturned and provided opportunity to millions in the between now and the future.
Thank you.
Millions of young individuals who are going to be able to do what they love and monetize and create brands
at the same time.
It's incredible. And on top of that, you're an entrepreneur who's you're making a great deal amount of money in comparison to even where you were a few years ago.
Yeah, one year ago.
But you had to leave where you were at to take it into your hands and do it, which is the entrepreneurial way. It's the hustle way. It's
the hustle way.
Hustle, you dig.
Yes, sir.
And so you got to keep going, bro. Like, and if anyone listening wants to get involved with Yoda, he's given you his phone number. We'll put it in the description as well. Dude, your life is incredible. I'm excited to see what the next 29 years and then what the next 29 after that bring.
Yes, sir.
I only see
30s decade is going to be a wild one.
Yeah, man. We're just getting started, bro. Just getting started.
I already know.
Man, you've helped us a long way already. Like you said, he made the logos. Yeah, you worked the door at some of our events just on the strength of being the homie, bro. Like, you know,
I'm gonna do it again too.
You're humble, bro, man. I got nothing but love for you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on.
Boys, man.
Again, if you guys want to follow him at Yoda Jenkins, YODAJENKINS. Man, this has been awesome. You guys know where to find us at HSTLUP, www.hstlup.com, bringing the hustle every damn week, staying consistent. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok. We everywhere. So is he. Shout out your company name.
Company name. I work.
If you can,
I was like, wait a minute, hold up.
Let's throw it back real quick.
FFL High Commission is kind of what we go by now, but yeah, we partner with Family First Life is the corporate company. So if y'all want to check that out, resource wise, that's
hit up Yoda from High Commissions to make those high commissions.
That's right.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, hustle up.
Hustle up.
Hustle up.